11, I'm Sincere Tonsel. Less than 24 hours ago, former President Trump was confronted with a third criminal case against him as Justice Department Special Counsel Jack Smith revealed a 4-count indictment tied to what's been described as Trump's effort to block the peaceful transition of presidential power and threaten American democracy. Our political analysts are here to help us examine what's been filed and its potential impact. GOP consultant Tim Rosales on deck, along with Democratic strategist Ed Emerson. Gentlemen, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Former President Trump sort of let the cat out of the bag himself on this, hinting on social media again that all of this was coming. Through those same channels, he's blasting the special counsel's actions as politically motivated. Tim, are these 4 counts? Conspiracy to defraud the United States, conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding, obstruction of an attempt to obstruct an official proceeding, and conspiracy against rights. Is this a thin case conjured up out of what the whole country witnessed in the months after the 2020 election and Trump doing everything to try and delegitimize legitimate election results, or is this solid?
Well, there's a good reason that I'm a political consultant and not a lawyer. So I'll let the legal advice go to the lawyers. But politically, I think the American people, what they're looking at here is they're saying, okay, we've got this another indictment on President Trump. We've got what's been happening with President Biden, where his Department of Justice has been trying to give his son Hunter a sweetheart deal, and after we found out that Hunter Biden has taken money from the Chinese, and that Joe Biden has had 20 plus conversations with Hunter's business associates. And I think that they're looking at both of these very flawed candidates, Donald Trump and Joe Biden. And what we've seen in recent polling is that, yes, they're the most well-known, and that the parties, both on the Democratic side and the Republican side, are polarized with these candidates. But in the middle, where there's a lot of Americans, in the middle, and that's what wins and loses presidential elections and elections for Congress and all types of offices. Those voters are saying, you know what, maybe this is just a little too much with both of them, and we need to look at another alternative. But that alternative really isn't emerging at the present time. So we'll have to see kind of how that evolves.
Alrighty, with the American voter being presented with so much, Ed, do you think this is coming off as a solid case, or just, this is all politically motivated and has no root to it?
Well, if you put these particular indictments aside, but you do addition, he's been indicted 78 times on 3 times this year on 78 counts. I mean, it's become almost pathetic. In the indictment today, Jack Smith talked about dishonesty, fraud, and deceit. It's pathetic. We're going to vote for a guy who's sitting in jail, I think, at some point. You know what it reminds me of, Sincere, is Monty Python and the great scene in Holy Grail when there's the battle between the two knights, and he cuts off his arms and his legs. The Black Knight says, "Oh, yeah, no, I've had worse. This is just a scratch." I mean, 78 counts. This is serious stuff, and he will be either escorted to the door or kicked to the curb, one of the two. And I think Donald Trump's days in American politics are severely numbered.
Now, when it comes to any major court challenge against a presidential candidate, the notion of one would take the average candidate down. With so many cases against former President Trump already and potentially more to come, for months this has not seemed to matter one iota to his diehard supporters. But results released Monday from a Siena College New York Times poll show that he leads the Republican presidential field with 54% support. An Emerson College poll from June showed him at 59%. So, Ed, is the armor starting to crack a little here?
Oh, I think so. I think people, those percentages, those vast percentages that support Donald Trump are anti-Democratic Party. People are tired of Joe Biden, who is not a flawed candidate, by the way, Tim. They're tired of Democrats overreaching. They're tired of deficit spending. They've got to find, as Tim said, someone else. We got a guy who's honest as the day is long, and it's Joe Biden, and he's going to be reelected president of the United States. I think the it's a mystery to many of us how you can look at 78 counts and come up with the idea that this guy is somehow qualified to be president. So many people of his party, of his administration inside the White House when he was president of the United States, think the guy has got to go. And it's a laughable affair. The world is laughing at Donald Trump around the world, and something needs to be done. And I think being indicted, going on trial, being convicted, and being sentenced to jail is going to be the only end to this guy.
Okay, before we run out of time, got to get Tim in here on this. I just ran down some of the poll numbers. His lead seems to be slipping a little. Do you think the armor is cracking?
Well, I'm certainly not here to defend, President Trump. But I do think that, nobody has weaponized the Department of Justice like the Biden administration in U.S. history. And it's really remarkable. So I think that the armor may be cracking and that people may be looking for different alternatives on both sides. I mean, if you look at the Democrats, you've got Robert F. Kennedy Jr. with 20% of Democrats would like to see him as the next president of the United States. So I think that you've got this, again, going back to the middle, right? These undecided voters, you've got these baked in kind of two tails, two ends of each party, Republicans, Democrats, who are solid Trump, solid Biden, they're not moving. But the majority, the people who are going to actually elect the next president of the United States and members of Congress and U.S. senators, they are looking for something different, looking for an alternative. And I think that's what you're seeing at this point in time with the electorate.
All righty, we will have you both back to talk about where those alternatives might lead us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sincere.
Thanks, guys.